Let me preface this by saying that what I'm about to describe to you only applies to me and my family and should not be generalized to a whole population of people, because generalizing can be dangerous. People are complex, so don't do that. I come from an autistic family. What I mean by that is that I have 2 brothers on the spectrum. Studies have shown that when you have one autistic person in the family, then it's more likely that the other people in the family will exhibit autistic traits, not necessarily be diagnosed, but exhibit some traits. And if you have more than one autistic person in the family, then the chances are much higher. My parents lived in a time when evaluation tools weren't as readily accessible or as accurate as they are today, but if I were to guess, I would say that, probably both of them have some stuff on the spectrum. Before I move on, I should explain that I am probably a little bit more qualified than the average person to talk about this stuff. I studied this extensively in college. I have read countless books by autistic authors. I have worked in an autism research lab, and I have also worked with autism advocacy organizations over the last few years, so I have a little bit of knowledge on this subject. Anyway, what this means is that I had parents who possibly exhibited some sort of autistic traits, and that carried over into their parenting. And how I was raised is probably very different from how a lot of other people were raised. Something that I didn't realize until I left for college was that I didn't really know how to display empathy really well. And I think that this goes back to how I was raised and the kind of household I grew up in. One of the biggest criticisms of autism is that people believe autistic people can't be empathetic. And that's wrong. They can feel what you feel. It's not that autistic people can't be empathetic. They can be empathetic, but displaying that empathy, showing that empathy is sometimes a struggle. And so that gets misread as they don't understand, they can't feel, they don't... That's not true. That's not true. When I was growing up, the way I learned to be supportive for people, especially when they were feeling sad or they need to be comforted, was not to be emotionally supportive, which is what you would expect, but I learned to be analytical about it. Pretty much any time I ever felt sad growing up, and I'd run to my parents and say, I'm feeling sad, this is what's bothering me, the response was, let's find a solution, and let's fix this problem. It's not a terrible way to support somebody, but a lot of times when people are looking for emotional support, they're not looking to fix anything, necessarily. They're just looking to have somebody say, that sucks. I can totally relate to you. I feel you. It'll get better. Even if it won't get better, just to hear those words is comforting enough. But I didn't learn that growing up. I didn't know that that was how you were supposed to support people. So I angered a few friends growing up when I tried to be supportive and ended up just coming off as cold and analytical. But it didn't really hit me until I got to college, and somebody actually explained it to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, everything I had learned growing up is wrong. It was my junior year of college, and I was talking with my roommate, and she was going through some stuff. I can't remember if she was stressed out about school or relationships or something, but she clearly just needed to vent and have somebody listen. And I was there to listen. But then I kept offering these solutions or being like, okay, how are we going to fix this? Like, oh, what if you did this? What if you did that? And just throwing all these this extra stuff that really didn't need to be said at her. And she responded by saying very bluntly, you're not really being supportive right now. And that took me back. And I asked her what she meant. And she was like, sometimes you just need people to be there to say, that sucks, it'll get better. You don't need somebody to fix things. You just need somebody to be empathetic. Since then, I have tried to be more emotionally supportive. It doesn't come naturally to me. I have to work really hard at it. And I've had to unlearn the typical response of okay, you have a problem, let's fix it. And just be there. Because that's really what people want, is just for you to be there. There isn't really a point to this, and it's probably not very relatable. But I want to do it because this is VEDA, and my reason for doing VEDA is to do things that I have not done before or I'm not comfortable doing, like this. Day 4 of VEDA done. 26 more to go. Thank you for watching.